So now it's a pleasure to introduce our second and final Global Catalyst Grant recipient group. And this group is entitled Globia, Global Media Representations of Mental Health and Illness. It's led by Assistant Professor of Instruction in Global Health Studies and Anthropology, Peter Locke, Associate Professor of Anthropology, Rebecca Seligman, and Professor of Radio, TV, and Film, David Tolchinsky. And this group is focused on the ways mental health and mental illness are portrayed globally in global media, from film to television to plays to performance to social media. And also they're focused on creating new and different narratives about mental health in media. So the group has a wide-ranging project that includes both research about media and creating new media works. And we really we're inspired by the multi-pronged approach that they are taking. And they're really genuine investment in helping people think more deeply and differently about mental well-being. So you're going to hear now from Global Media Representations in Mental Health and Illness Group leads, Peter, Rebecca, and David.
Hello, everyone. On behalf of Rebecca Seligman, Peter Locke, and myself, David Tolchinsky, thank you for considering our proposal.
Here's the global challenge we see. We're awash in narratives about mental health. In film and television around the world, we see schizophrenic serial killers and those with dissociative identity disorder. We see autistic geniuses and soldiers with PTSD. More often than not, we're shown severe illness, and those with mental health problems are made to appear childlike, incompetent, and destructive. As artful and complex as many of these media works are, their depictions of mental illness are sometimes egregiously wrong, oftentimes sensationalizing, and frequently essentializing. Such depictions also always serve to reflect and reinforce dominant social and cultural tropes about mental health, illness, and the causes and responsibilities associated with them. What we rarely see are stories reflecting the broad spectrum of mental health, stories normalizing difference, stories about the structural causes of mental distress and the social barriers to well-being that exist, stories about the trauma and suffering that have resulted from histories of colonialism, anti-Black racism, marginalization, and alienation.
Global mental health has escalated as a major area of global health concern over the last few decades for a variety of complex reasons. It is featured in the Sustainable Development Goals and has attracted research and advocacy from across disciplines and new generations in particular. What's clear is that we have much yet to learn about the acute and unequal global burden of suffering and how best to address it. We share the perspective that medical, neuroscientific, and behavioral approaches are essential but insufficient on their own, and that far more attention needs to be paid to cultural difference, inequality, and the social determinants of suffering, including and especially the place of mental health in the media arts around the world. We each bring substantial experience, training, and commitment to these concerns.
In all of my research, I've explored the power of cultural scripts, narratives, and meanings to shape individual experiences of health and illness, suffering, and well-being. And I've documented the ways that such scripts can both constrain and transform experience. I'm passionate about this project because it represents a unique opportunity to use my expertise to help reshape cultural narratives and scripts about mental health through the power of the media, and to reach a much wider audience than I've ever been able to access before. As such, I see real potential to help people transform their own scripts and self-narratives in ways that positively influence their well-being, and to help intervene in the shared narratives and meanings that reinforce disparities and compound suffering.
As an ethnographer, I'm a passionate believer in the power of deep listening and nuanced storytelling to capture the realities of lived experiences of suffering and transformation across contexts and cultures. The arts and the humanities can produce powerful change in both people and societies without the applications of power entailed by behaviorist and medicalizing approaches. Through my years listening to war survivors and their caregivers in Sarajevo, I saw the painful limitations of both media representations and Western psychiatry in reflecting and addressing the complex realities of trauma and the agonizing struggles people wage to recover and keep on living. I'm passionate about this project for the unprecedented opportunity it provides to bring all of my commitments together, harnessing ethnographic storytelling in the arts, meaningful interdisciplinary collaboration, pedagogy with heart, and people-centered research to work toward a better world.
As a screenwriter and playwright, I am fascinated by depictions of mental illness and mental health. And a lot of the works I create and am drawn to watching, studying, and teaching have mental illness at their core. I've also been disturbed by what certain depictions can do, how they can shape the public's feelings and perceptions. And I'm aware that some of my favorite films use comedy and horror to depict mental illness. And those two ideas can and should go together. How do we use all that storytelling has to offer, drama, comedy, horror, documentary, fiction, film, or play, to create compelling, complex portrayals that will add to everyone's understanding? Beyond my work as an artist, I have a long history at NU of starting and running programs. As I do in my screenplays, I'm excited to put unexpected people, disciplines, and ideas together and see what new thing emerges. Our proposal has the potential for such innovation, but also the potential to heal and make the world a better place, and that's why it's so important to me. I also mentioned the programs I started to speak to feasibility. What we say we will do, including making sure this initiative grows and becomes self-sustained. We love the diversity of perspectives this project brings together. Already, we have committed interest from playwrights and screenwriters, anthropologists, a psychoanalyst, a neuroscientist, and an expert in web TV.
We're excited about all of the potential connections and synergies we can build with this project. Already, we have links and synergies with numerous Northwestern and Chicago area programs, organizations, institutions, artists, and scholars, as well as international institutions, scholars, and artists. We've already developed close ties, for example, with the National Alliance on Mental Illness in Chicago, Heartland Alliance and the Kovler Center, the program in transcultural psychiatry at McGill University, the Universidad Iberoamericana, Wings of Hope Sarajevo, the Prague Film School, and many more.
Our activities are detailed in our project overview and will include fostering unique interdisciplinary collaborations between researchers and artists around the critically important topic of mental health, designing team-taught courses, bringing together professors and students from a variety of perspectives around mental illness, commissioning substantial works from faculty and students, which will promote complex, nuanced portrayals of mental health, and bringing together artists and social scientists from around the globe who are all addressing this issue in a variety of ways.
New work from one of our team members, Erin Courtney, provides a model of the kind of work our collaborative could yield. Erin worked with neuroscientists at the New Right Collective at Columbia University, a group of scientists, writers, and media artists who collaborate to improve science communication. She worked with them to develop a play about neuroscience, trauma, and selfhood, titled Anne, Fran, and Marianne. Our artists and scholars will work together in a similar way to create a better representation of mental health. It's also noteworthy that via our Buffett workshop series, Erin and I discovered a shared interest and expertise in narratives about traumatic dissociation and selfhood, and are already planning a future collaboration, including a plan for me to interview Erin about her play for an event later on this spring.
So Erin's work gives us a model for the kinds of unique collaborations we hope to achieve, but at a global scale, bringing social scientists and artists together around the issue of more robust depictions of mental health and illness. And to underscore, this is not just an interesting idea. Mental health is an urgent global issue directly connected to Sustainable Development Goals 3.4 and 3.5. Current media representations often perpetuate stereotypes, cause trauma, and can potentially lead to violence or death. Anecdotal evidence points also to mental health as being a focus for the Northwestern community. Some suffer from mental illness, some resent being labeled as mentally ill, and many are interested in working on issues surrounding mental health and illness as either researchers, media makers, or teachers. Finally, the substantial gift by the Pritzker-Pucker Foundation to establish the Studio Lab for the creation and promotion of mental health speaks to local and global support for this kind of project and paves the way for a university-wide approach. The Studio Lab will center on undergrads and narrative films. Our project will focus on scholar-artist partnerships, international and local community perspectives, and social determinants of mental illness.
Our long-term vision is for Northwestern to become an internationally recognized leader in studying the social causes of trauma and mental illness, and in promoting the creation of nuanced and complex portrayals of mental health in media. Above all, we hope to contribute to making the world a kinder, greener place in which all stigma has been removed from mental illness, where those who need help are getting it, and where the social determinants of mental illness are acknowledged and, wherever possible, extinguished.
Thank you. Thanks for your attention.
Thank you.